guys, welcome back to Cooking with Taylor and Stefan. Okay, so today we're going to do a different recipe. So we were once looking for a restaurant and I found this cool restaurant. We actually haven't been to it yet, which is kind of ironic. But it looked like it was a Turkish style restaurant and they had these almost like pitas, but it's a different bread. And they put sausages in them and they had what they said it's kind of like yogurt, but it was a little more creamier. So I still have to check this place out, but I was so inspired by the restaurant, I thought, you know, I'm gonna create my own version of this and one day I'll check it out. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna make our yogurt. So it gets lots of the flavor. You can use any kind of yogurt you want. You can use coconut yogurt, any kind really. Just make sure it's plain, no vanilla, no strawberry. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna go ahead and take our garlic and we wanna just mince that pretty small once the peel goes away. And then the first time I made this, I did use cucumber. I think cucumber is really good. If you can just cut it nice and small, you can use the skin and everything. So I use just a little bit depending on how much you're making. But garlic is definitely one that I've used every time. So I use 2 smaller cloves and I'm gonna put that in there first. And the flavor, don't worry, the garlic's not gonna be too strong. It's really gonna balance out once it gets on there. But today, I thought we're gonna go ahead and use some sorrel. So we have this growing in the garden already, which is great. So I'm gonna just use one. If you've had sorrel before, you know it's definitely sour, except for the red, or the more colorful one. The green is definitely the sour one. So we're gonna take it, and all we're gonna do is we're just gonna nicely kind of chop it up. We'll do a few little chops just to make it smaller, because we don't want big chunks, but we want added flavor when we put it on there. So we're just gonna continue chopping that up. And then we wanna put next, we wanna cut up some of our lemon and put that right on there. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this in. And also it adds a really pretty green. I love the look of sorrel. It's just that natural green color. Okay, so we're gonna put all that in there. And then now we're gonna go ahead and cut a little lemon. And we're gonna squeeze some of that lemon juice in there and it really just adds a lot of good flavor. We're gonna get rid of some of those seeds first. And we're gonna squeeze it right in. So then all we wanna do is stir this up and just let this sit until we're ready to eat and put it on there. But this way it really gets all the flavors. So this is definitely the first step that you wanna do. Okay, and let's go ahead and give that a quick stir. Okay, and then all that we wanna do next is just add a little bit of the Himalayan salt. So we're just gonna add a little teaspoon right on top. Give this a stir, and we're gonna just set that aside. So now we're on to making our pitas. And what's great is I actually found this recipe online. It was on a blog. I have to say this isn't my recipe because I was looking for one for a different food item that I was making, and I didn't really want to use yeast and wait. It's time consuming. So there's one without yeast, and oh my gosh, it is delicious. I did alter the recipe a little bit, like I use honey, and I think they use maple syrup or just sugar. I mean, really, I like to use honey more compared to some of those. And if you have maple syrup, that's great too. So I changed it just a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and link their blog down below so you can check them out. Because really, they did a great job on making this without using yeast. All right, so let's go ahead and start that. Okay, so what we have first is we have our 2 cups of flour. So before we put any of the wet ingredients, we're gonna go ahead and put the dry ingredients first. So we're gonna add our baking powder. So I'm gonna put 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. We're gonna just give that just a quick stir, just to get all that in there. And we're gonna make salts. We're gonna add just a little sprinkle of the regular kosher salt, and we're gonna add a little sprinkle, still a good amount, of the Himalayan salt. And again, we just wanna give that a quick little stir. And then what we wanna go ahead and do, we wanna add our cold water. We're gonna just put that all in there. And we're gonna stir this up a little bit first, and then we're gonna go ahead and add our honey. And we have this honey today. So we're gonna open this up. Well, it's not gonna open easy for me today. And then we wanna go ahead and put this right in there. So this one has the honeycomb, and I want to actually avoid putting the honeycomb in there. So I'm going to scoot that to the side. And then I would say it's about a tablespoon, a little bit more, that we're going to go ahead and add in here. Okay, so then after the honey's in there, all we're gonna do is continue mixing this just until it's all mixed nice and even. And then we'll go ahead and roll it out and make our little pitas. And sometimes it's easier for this just to get in there and use your hands after you've already got some of this going. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna put sometimes I like to just put a little bit there and then use it throughout. So we're gonna spread a little flour out. We're gonna grab a little bit of this. We're gonna make it into a ball with our hand. Sometimes it helps just to put a little flour to really get it going. And then next, all we're gonna do first is we're gonna press it straight down. So we wanna really get that nice and flat. And then all we're gonna do is just make a little, almost like a little circle. So we're gonna continue going until we have the size that we want. And since I'm gonna put some vegetarian sausages in here with the yogurt and with a little cabbage, we want a good enough size that we can fit all that in here and fold it. So just keep flipping. I would say this is the most time-consuming part of the whole recipe. Okay, so we'll just go one more time right here just to get this end. Okay, so about this size is what you're looking for. So it's nice, it's perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set that right there. Sometimes it helps to dust a little flour so it doesn't stick. And then we're just gonna continue making more of these until we have as many as we need for today. All right, so now we're at the stove. We're gonna go ahead and start cooking. So what I actually found was at Trader Joe's. I feel like I mentioned Trader Joe's a lot on my channel lately. So they had the Morningstar Farms veggie sausage links. So I think this is more for breakfast, honestly, but I happen to like it better to put it in pitas. So they were really tasty. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put 3 on each one, and we're gonna get these started and then cook our pitas. So we're gonna put a little oil in there. So you can add as many as you need. I think 3 for each one is definitely enough, and there's always that one left over. And then while those are just warming up and cooking, we're gonna go ahead and put our oil into our pan, and we're gonna go ahead and start to cook these. And we're gonna turn down the heat. You could turn it down to about a medium heat once you spread that olive oil all around. And then we're gonna go ahead and take these, and we're gonna put it right in here. And we're gonna go ahead and let it get the bubbles, and then we'll flip it as soon as it's time. They don't take a lot of time to cook. And what I really love about these is they're delicious for all different types of recipes. They're even good if you just have a little honey on them and you just want a little treat. So you're gonna cook them. You could turn them with your hands just a little bit. We're gonna move these right around just so each side is gonna cook. Okay, so as you can see, they're forming a little bit of bubbles. So we're gonna flip them over, and then we're gonna let that side cook. And as soon as it's done, we're gonna just throw the next one on. Okay, as you can see, these are nice and cooked. You can see the bubbles on there, and it's got a nice little brown. So we're gonna go ahead and set that onto the plate. If it needs more oil, you just add a little bit to it. It doesn't take a lot. We're not frying it. We're just cooking it. So we're gonna add the next one, and it's the same process. You're gonna let this cook on this side until you start to see a little bubbles, and then you're gonna flip it. And I'm sure you can hear everything cooking. So as you can see, some bubbles start popping up here. And I just wanna say what's really great about this sausage in particular, I can't speak for all brands, but I think some brands really put in the effort even more, is that you can't tell the difference on this. And I don't know if it's because I got the breakfast sausage link, so it just tastes a little bit different compared to the other ones, but I haven't had anybody complain about this one. And some of them are really more into meat, and there's no complaints. So I think that's one thing that they did a really good job on. Okay, so we have the last one cooking, and as you can see, these are nice and done. They have, oh, there we go. They have a little brown to them. So we're gonna go ahead and put them in the bowl, and then I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we're gonna do next with them and how to really set these whole pitas up. Okay, so as you can see, both sides are nice and brown. They're nice and warm. So we're gonna go ahead and put these all together. so now that we're all ready, we're gonna go ahead and set these up. I wanna show one thing. All I have is just some regular white cabbage, and what you either can do, you can slice it really thin or use a mandolin and just go like that. But what I did for it, instead of using vinegar, I took beets. You know how you get beets in the jar? They're really delicious. And the juice, a lot of times people just throw the juice away. If you just pour some of that in there, one, I love how it has that really pretty color. And two, it's got all the vinegar. It has all that wonderful flavor that most of the time we just dump and throw it away. Instead, all you do is just pour a little bit on top to taste. You put a little pepper, and then all we're gonna do next is just add just a little bit of the Himalayan salt. And then we'll go ahead and stir that up right before. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to making these. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our yogurt. Now, if you have parsley or if you have dill, ours is still growing, so I don't have a lot of that yet. Add that in here. It really adds a lot of flavor. So what you do is you put that right on there. You go ahead and take out 3 of these vegetarian sausages, which seriously don't taste like vegetarian. You just fold it up just like this. And what you want to do next, you want to just take a little bit of the cabbage. You could put the cabbage in there, or you could just eat it right on the side. I like it on the side better. And then you have this really beautiful plate. So you have your vegetable and you have everything. And I have to say, after the first time you make it, it doesn't take that long. Really, I mean, just making these, since you don't have to wait with yeast, it's rather quick just to make this. You could have it for lunch, you could have it for dinner, and it's really delicious. So let's let Stefan try and see if he likes it. All right, so we have our taste tester. We're gonna go ahead and try these. I happen to love them.
I really don't like the bread, my favorite. They're not my favorite. Man, I still like it.
They're really delicious. I have to say, I love how soft the bread is. And I have to say, the cabbage, it just has a nice, mild, but still delicious flavor. Well, please subscribe, like, and share, and have a nice day.